I was just watching the Anthony Edwards training camp press conference. During that press conference, you could tell he looked very distraught and shocked that his teammate Cat was traded to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle. You could see that he wasn't really thrilled about it, that he really did like playing with Cat. Just one quote I'm going to read is, "I think everybody knows Cat's my brother." So that definitely hurt. But it's a business, so I've just got to roll with it. I remember when he said that quote during the press conference, watching it, and he just looked down like in the dumpster, just very sad about it. And I can't blame him, rightfully so. Cat was a huge piece of their team and a huge reason for their success last season. The other points he touched on during that press conference was that how much he really appreciated playing with Cat during his whole time in Minnesota. Cat, that is, when he was his teammate, and that how he talked to Cat once he found out he had gotten traded to let him know that he did enjoy playing with him. From that alone, we can already tell that there was no qualms between these two. I think he also emphasized how it was never anybody's team. That it didn't matter if Cat was the number one guy or if he was the number one guy, just that they were that close. It didn't really matter. So you could tell that this was not an ego clash where one couldn't play without the other. They actually enjoyed playing with each other. It's a lot different than when you've seen these other duos in the past split up, which was due to ego. I feel a famous Wolves duo way back in the day was Marbury and Garnett, and that duo got split because of ego and money. That Marbury wanted to get paid more than Kevin Garnett, even though it wasn't possible due to the new CBA rules at the time. And he took it out on the Wolves by just demanding a trade. Obviously, that was a dumb move by Marbury when you look at it. And you look at these other duos that have broken up in the past, like Shaq and Penny in Orlando. Just that was due to ego, Shaq wanting the fans to love him more. And also, I would say to some degree about money, but really ego. Shaq wanted to show them and Penny that he was better than them. And he left, obviously, to go to LA where he had success. And ironically, the duo with him and Kobe was broken up due to ego. They hated playing with each other despite the success they had. It was really all about ego, just about whose team it was. And Kobe got him traded, essentially, because he didn't want to play with him anymore. I know people make other arguments, but really Kobe got rid of him. So it was ego. I'm trying to think of some other duos that were broken up back in the day due to ego. I would say Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson. That was split up really due to ego and money, I would say. Just both of them had big egos, and they wanted it to be their team. And the Hornets threw Alonzo away due to financial reasons. Another duo, I can't think of any other duos that were broken up due to ego, but this breakup kind of reminds me of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. Granted, Payton and Kemp had more success than Anthony Edwards and Cat. They got to at least one NBA Finals together. They were together a little bit longer, I believe. But it reminds me in the sense that both Payton and Kemp loved playing with each other. The issue was really management that got Kemp traded. Kemp was frustrated with his contract, and it was financial, and that's why they got rid of him. In this case, Cat was already getting the money he wanted, but the ownership did not want to keep paying him that money, and they wanted to get him off the payroll. And that's why they traded him. Just that's really what it was. There was no conflict with him and his teammates. Anthony Edwards emphasized that during that press conference. So to me, that's really a bad look on Minnesota's part. They got rid of a guy who actually was a positive influence in the locker room and was a huge reason why they had won a lot of games. To me, it was just, it's really idiotic when you think about it. It just makes no sense. And I think it's more damning when Anthony Edwards mentioned that he was never consulted ahead of time about the Wolves possibly trading it. Karl-Anthony Towns, that they had never told him or mentioned it, that they were going to attempt to trade Cat, that he was blindsided and he didn't learn about it until he landed into the airport because he was on a flight when the trade occurred. So that really shows you the disconnect that the Wolves have with their star player, their franchise player, Anthony Edwards. That's not a good look. That usually a team, the management has a better connection with their stars than what happened with Anthony Edwards in this situation. At least successful organizations tend to keep their franchise player in touch of possible moves that could be made down the line. This was really a complete blindside. I think going forward, the Wolves should be concerned. They should be worried about Anthony Edwards' future there. he's locked up for a good 5 years. He'll be there until the summer of 2029. But there's no guarantees that he'll stay after 2029. I think now they have to do everything they can to at least contend for a title in these next 5 years. They can't slack off and assume that Edwards will come back just because they can offer him the most money. I think that's a mistake they're going to make. If you're Anthony Edwards, you're probably thinking in your mind right now, do these guys really care about winning? Or are they just going to be cheapskates and not put together a team that could win it all simply because they're too cheap to do it? That's always going to be in his mind. They plan that seed now that if things don't go well these next 5 years, I think he will leave. I think he very well will leave. That's really my bold prediction. If they don't have any significant success in the next 5 years, and when I'm talking about significant success, I'm not talking about winning a title. I would say just getting to one NBA Finals in the next 5 years. If they don't achieve that, I think he's going to leave. If they don't put together a winning team in front of him, I don't think he'll stay. I think he will leave. So the clock just started ticking now for the Wolves and Anthony Edwards. They have 5 years to get this thing together. If not, I believe he's gonna lead them. That's the way I look at it.